Hey guys, it's Dean and welcome to Manflow Yoga. This is a 15-minute workout for hip strength and hip flexibility. So this is a beginner-friendly yoga workout. You don't need any yoga experience and you don't need any flexibility to try this routine. We need a bit of equipment. If you don't have any, you can get by with whatever you have lying around at home. So I have 2 blocks and a yoga strap here. If you don't have those, you can use a stack of books, a foam roller, or you could use a belt or a dog leash for the strap. We're gonna get started in a low lunge position. Let's get to it. Right leg forward, left leg back, left knee down. If you have any knee discomfort putting your knee on the ground, put a towel, put a cushion or a pillow underneath that knee. No need to have pain there. Allow your hips to sink forward, feeling a stretch to the front of your left hip. Make sure that your shoulders stay stacked above your hips. Don't let your hips lead your shoulders, and don't lead your shoulders past the hips. Bring your arms overhead and breathe in and out of your nose. As you exhale, you can allow your hips to sink deeper into this. Just make sure that you're keeping your butt under your shoulders and you're keeping your low back flat. Don't let your butt kind of poke up behind you. Don't let your low back arch. And if you're looking to relieve back pain, this is actually usually a better solution than reaching down and touching your toes. All right, moving to a side bend lunge here. Grab a block, put it on the outside of your right hip. Rest the hand there. If you don't have the block, use a foam roller. And then reach your left arm up and over for an even deeper stretch in that left hip flexor. Stay nice and tall. And try to hold yourself here with strength. So don't be totally passive here. I want you to push down through your front foot and squeeze your hips as you're here. Last breath. All right, release and switch sides. So left leg forward now, right leg back, keep your toes tucked. If you have pain in that knee, put a towel, put a cushion underneath that knee. You can put your block outside your left hip to start for when we transition later on. Keep your hips facing straight forward here. Pull your ribs up away from your hips. The more height you get there, the better the stretch is going to be for your hips. And then press down through your whole left foot, especially pressing down through the heel. Bring your arms up. And as you exhale, allowing your hips to sink deeper into the stretch. As you inhale, thinking about lengthening and getting taller. Here for 2 more breaths. 2 more nice long breaths. Again, try to keep that low back nice and long. Don't let it arch. All right, transitioning to that low lunge side bend. Place your left hand on that block. Reach your right arm up and over. Feel that deeper stretch through your right hip flexors. Stay nice and tall here. Don't allow your body to just kind of collapse to the side. So in yoga, I want you to think height and length. Right, so you want to stay tall as you're getting longer. You want to maintain strength as you're working deeper into a posture. Couple breaths here. Staying active through your hips, staying nice and tall through your torso. All right, back to the middle. And from here, we'll stand up. We're going to move into a squat hold. This is your basic yoga squat. Feet facing straight forward, hip width distant. Bend your knees slightly, and then bring your butt down and back, arms out in front of you. Keep your back flat. Keep your chest up. And if you want here, you can hover on one foot and then kind of hover toward the other foot, just to make sure that you're using both legs evenly. And then plant both feet. Sit down a little bit lower. 2 more breaths here. This is a really good exercise for your glutes, for your abs, and for your hips. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Keep your chest up. Last breath. And then push down through your feet. Stand up all the way into a standing back bend. Squeeze your arms back. Lift your chest up toward the ceiling. Press your hips forward, feeling a bit of a stretch for the hip flexors. Chest opening up, head nice and long, top of the head pressing away from the shoulders. One last breath here. And then release your hands down. Okay, nicely done. From here, you're gonna find a wall or a couch, anything you have nearby that you can rest your hands on for a down dog against the wall. So this is a really nice alternative to a traditional down dog. This is going to help you get all the right stretches without having to have all of the core strength or the shoulder mobility or hamstring mobility. So I want you to find a wall, put your hands at about waist height, and then try to make an L shape with your body here. So bend your knees. Don't worry about locking out your legs here. Push your chest toward the floor, keeping your back flat, keeping your abs engaged, and then press your knees away from the wall until you feel that stretch through the backs of the thighs. And if you kind of look at me here from the side, I'm going for an L shape with my body here. I'm not trying to get my hands to the ground. I'm stretching through the hamstrings. I'm keeping my abs nice and engaged, feeling stretching through the shoulders. If you feel like this is too challenging, you can walk your arms up a little bit higher so you're not quite in an L shape. And the point isn't to lock out your legs here. A lot of people do yoga and they just try and mirror what other people are doing. But here, I want you to do the posture as it works for you. So keeping your back flat, get a nice stretch through your shoulders, get a nice stretch through the backs of your thighs, squeeze your quadriceps, squeeze your abs, squeeze your upper back muscles. One more breath here. All right, and then bend your knees, slowly look forward, walk toward the wall to get out of that, and we'll move on to a warrior one. And this is the first of warrior postures, really common lunges found in yoga. Bring your right leg forward, bring your left leg back, point it out at 45 degrees. Put a block inside your right foot, or if you don't have a block, use a foam roller, again, your stack of books, whatever you have there. Square your hips toward the front as much as you can, and then bend into your front knee, knee over the ankle in your front foot. You want to think making a line from your left hip up through your right shoulder, so kind of broadening through your chest, pulling that right shoulder back, and then bringing both arms up overhead. Press your left hip toward your right knee. You're going to feel stretching here through your groin. Press into the outer edge of your back foot. You'll also feel stretching through your calves. And we're here for 3 breaths. As you exhale, you can go deeper into this stretch. Make sure that you're leading with your hips here and not kind of surfing forward with your shoulders. Keep your ribs lifted away from the hips. The more length you have through your torso, the better stretch you'll get through the hips. One more breath here. And then keeping this knee bent, I want you to put that block inside your right foot. Bring your hands to the block. Pull your chest forward. Make sure your back is flat. And then straighten that right leg until you feel a stretch through the back of the right thigh. This is called pyramid. This is going to target your hamstrings. So we have the same stance that we did for the warrior one, but now we're targeting your hamstrings instead of your hip flexors. Make sure that you're keeping your back flat, so using the block so we can pull the chest forward and up and not kind of collapse through the torso here. As you exhale, squeeze your right thigh. As you squeeze your right thigh, you'll notice that the stretch increases through your hamstrings. And you want to make sure that as you're inhaling, you're maintaining length through your torso, maintaining that height. One more breath here. All right, and then take it back to warrior one. So bend your knee over your ankle, lift your arms up, and then stand back up at the top of the mat. Nicely done. Let's switch sides. So now left leg forward, right leg back. Again, that right foot points out, or that back leg points out at 45 degrees. Try to square your hips forward. Your hips aren't facing to the outside here. They're facing straight forward. And think again, that long line from your right hip up through the left shoulder. Press your right hip toward your left knee. Make sure that you're pushing into the outer edge of your back foot, pressing the heel down so you can feel your calf stretching. And then bring your arms up. As you inhale, getting taller. And as you exhale, bending into that lunge. 2 more breaths here. Feeling the stretch through your inner thigh, through your adductor. And this is really good for your knees, for your back. Really good if you sit a lot. This is just something, this lunge movement is something all of us need. All right, and then bring your hands to that block inside your front foot. Inhale to pull your chest forward and up. Make sure that your back is flat. You can use a mirror to check that. And then exhale to straighten or just less of a bend in your left leg until you feel that stretch through your left hamstring. Try to keep your back flat here. Don't let your lower back come up above your hips. Think about pulling your left hip up and back and your right hip kind of down and forward to square your hips. Deep breaths in and out of the nose. As you're exhaling, squeezing your abs, squeezing your thighs. Again, kind of coming back to that concept of building strength while working into flexibility. Not just passive stretching, but actually building strength. 1 more breath here. All right, bend back into warrior 1. Lift your arms overhead and stand up. Nicely done. Let's move into our final standing movement, or a little standing sequence. Warrior 2 to triangle. So you're going to start in a wide-legged stance like this. Turn your right foot to face forward, left foot faces to the outside. Press your left hip into your right hip, bend your right knee over your right ankle. Make sure that that knee isn't coming in toward the inside. So squeeze your right knee to the outside. You should be able to see your toes, your big toe, around your right knee. And again, left hip presses toward the right hip. Squeeze your butt. I want you to make sure that you're keeping your butt under your torso here. Don't let your butt poke out behind you. If that happens, you can bring your left foot closer to the left edge of the mat, or you can bring your legs closer together. You don't have to have your feet wide at all. This counts as warrior 2 as well. And then bring your arms out in opposite directions, pointing at the front and the back of the mat. Top of the head presses up. Deep breath in. And look straight over your right middle finger with your head. So we've got a twist through the head. We've got shoulder opening with the arms out. We've got a lot of hip opening, building strength through your hips, the ankles, and of course the abs working as well. Last little breath here. And then grab your block, put that inside your right foot, lightly rest your hand on the block, and then push your right hip into your left hip, straightening that leg until you feel a stretch through the inner right thigh. Roll back your left shoulder, push your hips toward the left edge of the mat, and then extend your left arm up for a triangle. You're going to feel this stretch in the inner thigh. Still want to feel your hips and your core working here. Try not to make this passive. And this right hand on the block is just there as a little bit of a guide, right? You don't want to dump all of your weight into it. You want to think growing in all directions here. So my head is pushing away from my hips. My left arm is extending up. I'm squeezing my thighs, trying to hold myself in this position with strength while stretching through that inner right thigh. 1 more breath here. And then to get out of it, bend back into a warrior 2. Straighten your right leg and switch sides. Nicely done. Grab your block, put that inside your left foot now, and we're switching sides. So again, right toes turn slightly in, facing to the outside. Left foot is facing now the top or bottom edge of the mat, however you're doing this. Bend into your left knee. Knee goes over the ankle. Make sure that that knee isn't caving in. So squeeze your left knee toward the outside. You'll feel your outer left thigh and your left glutes, your buttock, working there. Right hip presses toward your left hip. You actually want your hips to be level here, so don't let your right hip be above your left hip. As much as you can, push that right hip into the left hip so they're level. Ribs lift up. Squeeze your butt muscles, squeeze both glutes. Torso faces to the outside, arms out in opposite directions. Look straight over your left middle fingers. One other aspect I didn't mention on the other side, squeeze your legs toward one another. So pretend like the mat is sliding apart, that your feet are sliding in opposite directions, and you have to squeeze your legs together to prevent that from happening. That's going to help you build both strength and mobility in your inner thighs, and that's when the real magic happens, when you're working on both strength and flexibility combined. Last breath. All right, block inside your left foot now. Lightly rest your hand there. Push your left hip into your right hip until you feel that stretch. Roll back your right shoulder. Press your hips toward the edge of the mat in the direction that they're facing, and then extend your right arm up. So this is called triangle because we're trying to make an isosceles triangle with your body here, right? So the line from my left hand up to my right hand is perpendicular to the floor, thus making the triangle. So again, feeling the stretch in the inner thigh, pressing the top of your head away from your hips, away from your torso, and then extending your right arm up as high as possible. Doing your best not to dump your weight into that left hand. So if you want, you can kind of come up to the fingertips. If this is too easy for you, you can also move the block and kind of press the hand inside the ankle. That will also work. One more breath here. All right, come back to warrior two, and then straighten up and take it down to the ground. Last couple of stretches here, really good on those standing ones. We're gonna do a reclined figure four. You can do this without a wall or against a wall. So I'm gonna have you cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Make sure that your left shin here is kind of parallel to the floor. You can rest that leg against a wall for a little bit of support, or you can do it without a wall. Reach through your legs, grab the back of your left thigh, lightly pull it in, flex your right toes toward your shin to protect that knee, and you're gonna feel the stretch through your outer right hip. So this is really good for sciatic pain. This is probably the best stretch you can do for sciatic pain. It's also just good for your knees and your hips and your back. Your glutes are often the biggest muscle in your body, so stretching them is really helpful. Try to keep your head somewhat relaxed here. If you can bring your head to the ground, that's fine. If you want to hover it off the ground a little bit, if that feels more comfortable for whatever reason, that's fine as well. Deep breaths. And as you exhale, kind of work deeper into that stretch. Last breath. All right, and then we'll switch sides. I'm gonna do the wall variation here so you can see it. So you're gonna put your right foot against the wall, shin parallel to the floor. Scoot your butt up closer to the wall if you want a more intense stretch. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Make that figure four with your leg. Hand to the back of your right thigh. Flex your toes toward your shin. So you can kind of see I'm reaching my toes toward my shin here. That's gonna help protect the knee. And then you can externally rotate this left hip to feel the stretch through the outer thigh and your glute. You can also grab the back of your right thigh here, pull that in for a little bit more intensity. Just make sure you're being careful with this knee here, especially if you've had, any sort of MCL, ACL issues in the past. And we're here for a couple breaths. Stretching your glutes is actually really important for low back pain. A lot of people just want to stretch hamstrings for low back pain, but actually stretching your glutes, your hip flexors, is going to be really helpful for that. All right, then go ahead and release. And last exercise I want you to do, just go ahead and get into a squat. Okay, so I want you to kind of test out a squat. Try to remember what it was like to do a squat before, and just see if that feels better. Okay, so your toes can face slightly out. You're gonna allow your butt to drop down and back. Keep your chest upright. If you notice that your heels kind of come off the ground, that's an ankle mobility thing. But hopefully you can get a little bit deeper into the squat. You can spend a couple breaths here just kind of playing around with the squat, seeing how it feels, making sure the weight is in your hips, keeping your chest up. And we're gonna end the workout like that. All right, great job on that workout today. If you're following along to this routine as part of the 7-day challenge, Keep it going. And if you haven't already signed up for my free 7-day challenge, you can do so at the first link in the description below. This is a 7-day Beginners Yoga for Men challenge featuring 15-minute workouts and daily emails to help hold you accountable. This is an awesome way to get started with yoga, and it's free. Again, click that first link in the description below and you'll get your first workout delivered to your inbox in just minutes. I'm also adding in a bonus head and neck essentials routine. This is a previously members-only workout that I'm making available for free when you sign up. So again, click that first link in the description below. I'll wait. Do it. And if you haven't already subscribed to this YouTube channel, subscribe. You'll be the first to know when new workouts and new videos are released. Like a video if you liked it. And if you have any questions or feedback, go ahead and leave a comment. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you in the next video.